Nintendo's gonna abandon us gamers and stop making real console games for these stupid mobile people. Hey fanatics, I'm gonna be real with you people. I don't wanna be making a video right now. There's Pokemons to be played. So let's get this over with, shall we? Okay, here we go. Nintendo recently announced the Super Mario Run release date. I know that gamers are supposed to be all anti-mobile game, but I'm kinda excited. I honestly believe that Nintendo has a bright future in mobile. Now don't get me wrong, I don't see that as a bad thing for us fans of more traditional gaming experiences. Quite the contrary. I see this new direction for Nintendo as a parallel to how the movie industry treats blockbusters, but like, way better. We all know that blockbusters make hundreds of millions of dollars. We've even had a fair share of billion-plussers just in the past couple years. A lot of these studios use that money to fund future projects. Now of course, plenty of those projects are just sequels to those big blockbusters, but they're also afforded the opportunity to take more risks. Every one Dark Knight pays for about 5 Inceptions. You guys gotta understand that. And I believe this concept will transfer to Nintendo's strategy in the gaming world, with a lot of added benefits that the film industry doesn't get on their end of this analogy. Remember when I said that blockbusters make hundreds of millions? Yeah, that's all well and good, but they also cost hundreds of millions of dollars. That means high risk, high reward. On the other hand, mobile games are way easier to produce, way cheaper to produce, and in Nintendo's case, even easier to get in way more people's hands at little to no cost from them. A typical blockbuster equivalent for Nintendo may be required to sell about 2 million units to be considered profitable. You know what? I'm just going to say that's as good as fact, given that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is targeting that amount of sales, and it's clearly their biggest and quite possibly most expensive game to date. So for Nintendo, they're already able to set themselves up in a way that they can create a AAA experience at a relatively low price of about $20 to $40 million. And while I admit in the grand scheme of things that isn't a ton of money, they'd still be able to generate a huge amount of revenue for about 1/10 of that. Not only that, but the return is a lot better on the storefront as well. Here's a chart representing the average anatomy of a game's net profit. Publishers on average end up having to pay out close to half of their profits to third-party partners, if not more. Nintendo will be able to consolidate a fair amount of these factors with their mobile games, effectively reducing the money they'd owe to partners by at least 50%. Apple and Google have policies on their app stores that require devs to pay out about 30% of their profits. This charge effectively acts as the retailer margin, returns, cost of goods, and platform royalty. All of that stuff generally accounts for more than half of the net profits for traditional games. That doesn't even include marketing. Marketing will also be a lot easier for Nintendo in the mobile market. They don't really need to do anything aside from being on these giant storefronts with hundreds of millions of people. The only real problem that comes along with mobile game development for most studios is visibility. So the bigger studios on the platforms tend to spend a fair amount on advertising to get noticed. Seen this before? Did you? Did you? Did you? Fortunately, Nintendo doesn't need to try quite as hard for visibility, just based on the fact that everybody knows who Nintendo is and everybody has a Nintendo game they'd love to play on their smartphone. Hence, all of the people that go nuts over emulators on Android and iOS. So with that being said, let's look at a quick comparison and then I'll get the hell out of here so I can go play some Pokemon. So, Mario Run. That game is being priced at $10 US on iOS, and eventually Android. I think it's safe to assume that that game, given its scale, cost Nintendo less than $10 million to produce. They haven't spent much money, if at all, on the promotion of the app, and it's projected by analysts to break 1 billion downloads. That's not to say all of these downloads will net them that $7 they'd get for a purchase of the full game, but I'd say it's safe to assume that at the very least, in a highly unlikely, extremely low estimate of at least 10 million of those people will shell out that needed $10 for Nintendo to get to that sweet $7 of profit. Based on Nintendo's estimate of 2 million units sold for a successful launch, I think it's safe to assume that their target is the pretty common target of a profit of 200%. That would mean that if the chart is accurate, and we assume that the bulk of those sales will be from brick and mortar stores, Nintendo spent about $40 million on Zelda's production. You can bet your bottom dollar that promotion will add a hefty amount to that figure as well, so that cuts into the return on investment even further. Plenty of gamers are excited for Breath of the Wild, but Nintendo will need a pretty sizable budget to have an ad campaign to even scratch the surface of the increased reach Super Mario Run will have on mobile. Not only that, but this game has been in development for the better part of 4 years, with about 300 people working on it at any point in time. Mario Run's team is likely under 30 people and could very well have only taken a matter of months to complete. To summarize, mobile development is a low risk, low commitment, easier way to promote for Nintendo to make money. They even have the added benefit of reminding lapsed gamers of their dormant love for Nintendo's franchises, all of which very well might circle back for more traditional Nintendo games for a fuller experience. The takeaway? I'm excited for these mobile games, and you should be too. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Are you ready to get gaming on your phone? Or are you standing in solidarity with the hardcore part of the market that hate the very existence of mobile games? What grade did you get on your last test? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Twitter at Fanatics4, and I'll see you next week.